Hello, everyone. Welcome to another segment of the Core Journal. I think this one is going to be a fan favorite, but before we get into it, you know I have to give my quote of today. And the quote of today is success isn't owned, it's leased, and rent is due every day. My man JJY said that. All right, let's get into it. Okay, welcome back. Today we have another guest, and you know I love the Court General guest, but this time this is the first one I'm doing of this kind. He has already been on the Court Journal, but this time he has a new title, Coach Assad Drayton, head coach of Syracuse men's basketball. How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing, but that quote of the day, hey,
You liked it
I,
that
I
one?
may put I may put that up in the locker room.
You liked it that one, right? JJ Watt's a
Uh,
beast. Well, I know we're talking about different sports here, but man, he was good. He was good. Coach, how you feeling, man? How you doing, man? You're new head coach of Syracuse. How is it out there in that cold weather?
I mean, I'm an East Coaster through and through. I've lived
Hmm.
in almost every state on the East Coast. I've lived in I lived majority of my life in New Jersey. I've lived in Maryland. I've lived in Virginia. I've lived in Connecticut. I've lived in New York. I've lived everywhere in the East Coast. So as far as being in the cold, it's par for the course. The cold doesn't affect me.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you. It would affect me greatly because I'm a down south baby, you know, and we from Louisiana. We don't do that snow. But let me get back to my notes and get in order, and let's get this show on the road. So, first off, coach, congratulations, right? This is a long time coming. You deserve this. But what does it mean to you to be the head coach at Syracuse, a program with such legendary history?
Uh, I feel like a part of being like an East Coaster, being somebody who's from New Jersey, who watched the great Syracuse teams, the great St. John's teams, teams like that, that as a part of giving back to that culture is restoring the feeling that that level of basketball was for me growing up. Like I remember when the Knicks were and now they're back on prominence. But I remember when the Knicks were dominant, the Nets were dominant, that it was a thing to be proud of like the teams up north. Like as of recent, and everybody's gonna kill me for this. As of recent, the SEC is kind of like dominated football and basketball. So I want to bring the feeling back that the mecca of basketball is still up top. That you got to go if you want the best basketball product, you got to come up north for it.
Do you know just to piggyback on that, I 100% agree with you, and I think it's a bad thing. I think the South should have football. Let the SEC have football. But when that money got involved, and I think that's what happened, and then they started putting these athletes out here on the basketball court, and they gave them money, and then the coaches saw the money and the athletes. They kind of migrated, the basketball minds migrated to the South, and that's why we got this shift. But with great minds like you going back to those prominent Big East schools, those schools that's known for basketball, I think you could be the start of that change and that shift back to, hey, if you want to play hoops, you got to go up to New York, you got to go to the Mecca, you got to go to Dykeman, you got to go to this park, you got to go survive in the jungle or how it used to be. That's how I feel. But coach, let's not get into that because I could talk about all the parks and all the hoops all day. But what was your first reaction when you got the call?
Initially, I was talking with my family. Beast of the East. We were located in Richmond. So
Hmm.
the initial thought is, hey, if I accept this job, we got to pack up everything. We got to go to Syracuse. And initially my family's a little apprehensive. They're like, we moved from New Jersey to Richmond, and now we're going back up north. It seems like we're just teetering tottering wherever your job may takes you, and that sometimes that's its own stress. And then you bring in the factor that they hadn't won a game, and mind you, they didn't end up winning the game. They hadn't won a game to up to that point. So I knew I was taking over a program that not necessarily was from day one gonna have the tools in order for me to just come in and show up and blow up. I wasn't getting a Rick Pitino type scenario. I wasn't getting a Coach Cal type scenario where these teams are kind of more established and they're looking for a legendary head coach to come step in and lead them into the right direction. I was getting a bare bones program that's asking me to completely change the outlook on things. That, hey, we're not winning right now. The backers and athletic directors need something new. They need something fresh because currently the idea of using older head coaches and the more legendary head coaches, none of those guys are willing to bite at Syracuse right now.
I heard you on that. And I agree with you. But let's just keep moving through these talking points. We're still in the opening round of questions. Coach, tell me, walk us through your coaching journey and what moment, just give me one moment that shaped your path to get this job.
I love explaining this story. If I could say one moment, I'll never forget it because it was early in my coaching career as far as SimWorld Prep goes. In season one, I got the job over from Vince Johnson, who stepped down because his family or something was sick. I don't necessarily remember, but they had brought me up. They were like, "Hey, you were coaching your local high school. We want to bring you into Richmond to come coach Beast of the East in the most competitive prep basketball league in the world." So they bring me in, and I immediately stink it up. I want to say I went 0 and 5 the first games. I went 0 and 5. Some of the games I lost bad. Like the locker room's questioning, hey, we were doing all right with Vince. This new guy, Coach Drayton, it seems like he's kind of a hack. Like he might not know ball. We might have been better off with just Coach Johnson's assistant than bringing in this flunky. But I told guys, hey, I know it's some growing pains, but y'all gotta dial in. Y'all gotta believe in me. I believe in y'all. I'm gonna bring in some more guys that fit the system that I'm trying to run a little bit better,
Hmm.
and we'll work the roster from there. And we went from 0 and 5. Then we went on. I want to say it was a 9 game winning streak. Then towards the end of the season, I wanted to, as the regular season was playing out, I went more like senior heavy lineups because in case we don't make it to the championship game, I want my seniors to have good final film. That's something they could be proud of. Like, hey, during the end of the season, we gave it everything we had. This is what we were able to put out. And then from there, from going starting off 0 and 5, I end up winning the championship, and I think that's indicative of how my career is. That there are certain scenarios and certain points and things that people overlook in the process of being a basketball coach, that they believe that success has to be immediate. That when you jump into the fire, you immediately have to get burned. There is no warm up period. That everything is immediate success. People want that instant gratification so bad that they forget that along the way that you are coaching and developing young men, and that's what comes first. That if you build something, it grows with you. And I feel like that's that's my staple on Beast of the East. That
Hmm.
while we only won one championship in my 3 year tenure, everybody that played for me will only speak highly of me. And they're all guys that, even though they're all at their own colleges doing their own thing, I guarantee if you ask half of them, hey, if you had a chance to do it all over again, would you play for Coach Drayton? I guarantee you all of them will say yes.
I think they would too, just based on how you sound coming through this microphone. It sounds like you really care about the players, and what I heard there is it's not just a basketball story. It's not just a player story. It's not just a coach story. It's a life story. I heard before you have any type of success, you have to fail. Without failure, there is no success, and that's exactly what happened with you. And this is why you're here. And I like that moment that you still remember, hey, that 0 and 5. Hey, that 0 and 5 is what got me here. That motivation to do better, to want better for the kids in the program. Let's transfer over to the next segment of this podcast, coach. And it's coaching philosophy, and I'm not gonna bang you up against the wall. That way you can keep your secrets. I get it. I get it. I'm just a scout these days. I don't have to be asking the tough questions. But are you bringing a new style of play to Syracuse? You can say yes or
When
no, or you go into more detail. It's totally on you.
I'll go into a little bit of detail. I don't want to put the cards on the table just
That's right.
yet.
That's right.
But I want to say it's gonna be similar to what I ran in prep,
Okay.
just more complicated. I wanna with older minds, you
Mhm.
adapt and adjust. So I know there's certain things I did in prep that probably won't work against college kids
That's
that have
right.
seen more defenses and seen more offenses. And I
Mhm.
know there's things that I did in prep really well that I know that will properly elevate to the next level and we'll be able to do.
Okay. Well, look, that's all you got to say right there. I like what you said. You kept it real. What's the word I'm looking for here? You ain't say nothing important that nobody could pick up on to know what you're gonna do. And that's just how it is. And I can say that it's my podcast. It is what it is. You ain't say nothing important, and I could appreciate that. That's a good coach talking right there. Okay, another question from the coach's philosophy, and this is the last one. I don't want to do too much here. Defense or offense first? Where are you starting at when you walk in that gym?
Defense.
Okay, okay.
I mean, if we get into the nitty and gritty of it, basketball is about buckets. But if we win a game 35-36, guess
Mm,
what happens in that win column? It goes up, not
mm,
down.
that's right. That's right. And that's all I got. I mean, that's what I would start, especially at SimWorld U level. I think if you can have your defense connected from the beginning of the season all the way to the end of the season, you definitely can. It would definitely help you maneuver the up and downs of the season because those are going to happen. You're going to have highs, you're going to have lows, you're going to lose games that you're not supposed to lose, you're going to win games that you had no idea that how you won. But as long as defense travels, you have a chance in Hoopsteria and to go far. But Coach Drayton, you're a brand new coach at Q's, as I call him. I call him Q's. That's what I know him by. We have to talk vision of the program, right? It's only right. What's the culture you want to establish year one?
Uh, I always and this is me quoting the rapper, I guess. Year one is always about branding. Year two is about expanding. So, year one, we're gonna come in and show the style of basketball that we play, who we are. I want to be a little more physical. Definitely want to impose our will on guys. That every game's a dogfight. And I think that I believe I said it in the threads. I might have said it in the locker room. Uh, that this is a militant era of Syracuse. That dude, that pushover stuff, that 0-29, we're never going back to that. Get that picture out of your head, delete it. It's gone. Everything from now on is war paint. Every game is personal. Everything feels like when they say, "Hey, this team's favored over you." That's something we should be angry about. Regardless, last year was last year. This year we're angry about everything.
Okay. So it sounds like you want to change the culture in a sense that you just want to change the mindset of how they view basketball at Syracuse. This is no longer a losing program. We're going to change the mindset that we are here to win and we are here to win every day. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely.
Okay, perfect. You heard it there first. Syracuse is now a winning program. What are your short-term goals for this team?
Short term, and ironically, it's not much. I feel like we should win 10 games or more this season. That's on the high end because we won zero last year.
Hmm.
But I have guys I feel like on the roster, and this is my true short term goal. There's guys on this roster that I feel like I can showcase their talent in a way where it wasn't showcased last year. That gets them in that SWBA contention,
Hmm.
whether it be in the early second round or lottery. I feel like I got a couple lottery pick type guys. Maybe the media doesn't agree with me, maybe the scouts don't agree with me, but I have guys on this roster that I feel like you call them up right now, they could go be somebody in the SWBA, whether it be as a six man or a starter.
Okay, I think that's a good short-term goal. I don't think you're setting the bar too low, but you're also not just gonna blow it out of proportion because you are going into a very competitive league and basically a whole new set. SimWorld U is a different ball game. It's a different monster in itself, and I'm glad that you respect the position that you're in and not come on my podcast because I'm the type of person that will call you out. You're not coming on my podcast and boast like, oh, yep, we're a 20 plus team. We should be a top three seed, this, that, and the third. I'm glad you're not doing that because then you would have to make me be the bad guy. And I don't want to do that. So I thank you for being realistic about your short term goals. But let's get into these long term goals. What are the long term goals for Coach Drayton and his Syracuse ball club?
My dream is to coach the number one overall pick. If we're talking about long term, I want to coach the number one overall pick. I want to have at least one player of the year,
Mm-hmm.
and I want to say not this season, not next season, maybe 3 or 4, even 5 seasons down the line. I want to cut the net.
Okay.
Rather it be in conference or in hoop stereo. I want to cut the net. I've
Okay.
cut the nets before, and I got it dripped in gold, got a chain of it. I want to cut the nets one more time.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not mad about those long-term goals. I think those are very good long-term goals. And if the players, if they ever would listen to the core general, you are the type of coach that I would want to play for. And here's the reason why. Because I asked you what your long-term goals are, and anybody in your position that coach a prestige program like Syracuse would have said national championship. That would be the first thing that came out their mouth. You know, the first thing that came out your mouth. I want to coach the number one pick in the. Sorry, I can't say that word. I want to coach the number one pick in the SWBA draft. Now that is like music to my ears. My antenna goes up. As the player in me, the antenna goes up. Right? Oh, wait. He's worried about my future instead of that program. That's the type of coach I want to play for. I like to hear that. I don't know if they gonna listen to this or not, but if they are, man, that is one heck of a recruiting tool right here on the court journal. Man, boy, if you was coaching while I was around, man, hey, I I would have got you that first pick. I would have won you the conference championship, and we would have cut down the nets in Chicago or wherever the next quad at. We would have won that championship. So I would have got you everything in one year. That way you could have been. That way you could have made some new long-term goals. But Coach Dre, the real question is, how do you plan to connect with the legacy and fans while also building something brand new at Q's?
I do believe that's probably the hardest task because I know New York media is rather grimy. They're really rugged, and Syracuse is probably, I want to say, along with like the Dukes, the UCLA's, what's another one? UConn. I know I'm forgetting one. UNC.
Mm-hmm.
Those fan bases are like really raunchy,
Yeah.
and to them, if it's not a championship year, then you wasted a season. That
Mm.
enough is never enough for them. So that's probably the one thing I don't have an answer for because
Yeah.
the media is the media. If they're coming at my neck every time, I'm not somebody who necessarily is affected by that type of pressure. So I'm gonna coach to the best of my ability. But if as far as connecting the new with the old, I think it's sometimes it's a hard bridge because when you
Mm-hmm.
have guys like Carmelo Anthony and all the greats that came through Syracuse, I'm just a one off.
Right.
That's what they're not gonna be like. Well, he's not coach, well he's not Coach Boheim. He's not this guy. He's not that. Regardless of my success,
Mm-hmm.
I'm always gonna be compared to the last legendary Syracuse coach, and because of that, it makes my job where I'm fighting the ghost the entire time. So I gotta focus on looking forward and never back. Sometimes you gotta be a shark.
And you know what? I'm glad you say that because I also think yeah, that part is hard. Getting the boosters on board, getting people who's been long-term Q's fans to be on your ship. But I also think I think that's hard. I also think that's the fun part, right? Because now you have to break everything these people know about Q's basketball and make them enjoy what you're doing for their community, for their program, for the kids, for everyone around, the way you're going to sell out the arena, the way the kids are going to lay their hearts out on the floor for Syracuse. That's how you win them over, and I think that's the beauty and the hard part. But let's just keep it rolling. Player relationships. Now, you're good at this. I don't have to teach you, I don't have to train you, I don't have to coach you, but I do want to know How important is building personal relationship with your players?
Hey, we're my guys at BOU to tell you, and some of these guys at Syracuse who have known me for some years know that I'm family oriented. I
Hmm.
view myself as the patriarch of the Syracuse family, and while I'm not anybody's personal father in the league, I take on that nice stepfather role. That like, hey, when you come to me, you could talk to me about anything. It doesn't have to be basketball. If you having a bad day, you feeling under the weather, and you just want to hash it out, and you feel like, hey, basketball is my only outlet. I'm here for you. I'm real big on family. My family is beyond humongous. My grandfather was quite the Rolling Stone. I have more uncles than most people have normal family members.
Rolling Stone, that's a good one right there. That's a
I'm,
good
I'm,
one.
I, I wish I was lying. I have
That's
so
a
many
good.
uncles that I don't even claim half of them because it'd be like, nah, no, 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 no.
Oh, I
All my
completely
uncles are from
understand.
the same two.
I completely understand. You know, everybody got a family member like that. But let's get back on track. Let's not get into the family situation because Lord knows I got stories for days too. But we have a lot of young talent. We got prep stars. We got incoming prep players. What do you look for when recruiting a future Syracuse player? Give me like 3 words or like 3 sentences. Give me 3 sentences. Don't give them the whole game because they got to pick up some things for themselves.
I want players with passion,
Mhm.
pride, and the ability to overcome. Everybody wants those guys whose story is just super easy.
Mhm.
The media ranked them number one player. I want guys with a little more grit to them. I want players who overcame something that their story has something more to it than, oh, I was the number one player my entire career and that was just it. Like
Right. Right.
there's nothing more to them.
Right. No downfall. No pressure. No stumble. No what's the word? No obstacles. Is what I'm hearing. You want a player that knows how to navigate obstacles because obstacles are for sure going to happen. I could appreciate that. All right, we have made it to my favorite time. This is the fun talk. This is the fun segment. We're gonna try to get through these really fast. And then I'm gonna hit you with a couple closing ones, and then we're gonna get up out of here. Okay, what's one game from your coaching career you'll never forget? Just give me one.
Season one,
Okay.
I want to say it's the second to last game against Lakeshore Drive. They beat us by like 23 points, and I
Ooh.
felt like they didn't miss a single three-pointer that game. And I remember turning to the sideline. I was like, I don't know if there's anything we could do about this. And then right after I said that, he hits like a three from the logo, and I was like, and I call a timeout, and I'm like, hey, if they're playing like this, there's nothing we could do. We just got to keep fighting back.
Okay. Okay. If you could coach any player in history, who would it be?
Penny Hardaway.
Mm, that man was nice. That man was nice. I know Penny personally. That man was nice. Describe Syracuse basketball in 3 words.
Gritty, rugged, tough.
Gritty, rugged, and tough. Coach Drayton, it was a pleasure. I mean, man, I can't wait to see what you do with this incoming talent, this influx of talent that you have. I'm excited for Syracuse basketball future. As the lead scout for SimWorld, I will be watching closely because it is my job to know everything about every player. So I am hyper fixated on to see how you put these players in position to do their thing. But thank you for coming on the court journal. Do you have any last remarks that you want to get out to the world?
If you're not scared to be challenged and you're a player, come hit Coach Drayton at Syracuse. I welcome any and all dogs.
All the dogs are welcome at Syracuse. Hashtag see the game, be the game.